This is RIVN. Here are your price targets for Friday. We ended the day at $15, down more than 2%. To the north side from where we are takes us to 2 standard deviations, and that is roughly $15.43. If we get to this line, this is considered resistance. I will anticipate a sell-off as people take their profits and they run. To the next level at 3 standard deviations takes us to another level of resistance at 1570. And finally, at 4 standard deviations, that will take us to $15.96. I do not expect price to hit this line, but you can bet if we do, price will crack. Now, to the south side, back at the middle of the trend and the baseline, $14.90. To the south side of that, at -2 standard deviations and a level of support and a potential buy-in area, $14.36, $14.09, and roughly $13.82. Note the RSI is turning down, so I will anticipate this to go down a little bit before we hit this line and then a reverse back up. And looking left, note the buy-in here at support and support here, and then grinding along the middle of the trend before either going to the downside or possibly going up to the upside. A sell-off here at resistance. This turns into support and a bounce. This gap closed out. We bounced up, so the gap actually closed to the downside. And that closed out at roughly 1607, went back to the middle of the trend, and from here to here, that is support and then a bounce. And then that gap closed as well, and this gap closed as well. And the last time I talked about this stock was on Friday the 19th. We were at support. What happens at support? People buy in, they dollar cost average, it's a low spot, and we made our way grinding kind of sideways there and up as well. And this is resistance, turning back down to support, and then we ripped to the upside and didn't quite make it up to 2, but sometimes we don't ever get there. We get close enough and then the price falls and there's a gap. We gap down, so I anticipate a gap up when we eventually close out, but we are not there. We are not in the channel. We have a long ways to go, but that's something to be aware of to the upside when there is a reversal. But you can see right now we are still in a downward channel on the 5-minute time frame. Flip over to the daily, the weekly, and the monthly, and then you can see the big picture. But for my purposes, I just do price action for the next day. And the next one I want to go over is Tesla. Poor Tesla, or Stressla. We went down today. Look at this, more than 12%. Tesla lost $80 billion in valuation today after Elon Musk mentioned downward pressure for 2024 and sales not as high because of infrastructure and changes that he's making, but this is just a little bit of a setback. This is not permanent. I do believe in Tesla in the long haul, but right now it is an opportunity to possibly get in and dollar cost average or get a position, but I would still be waiting to get in if you're not in. Oops, let me mark this out. $63. Changed my background. Now I'm ready to rock and roll here. All right. Right before I go to bed. All right. 182.63 is where we ended, down more than 12%. The day's range, 180.06 to 193, so still makes a good swing trade. This is where we are. I'll give you some numbers to the north side first. 187.90. A gap forms to the upside at 192.93. 2 standard deviations and a level of resistance and potential take profit area, 202.80. That gap closes out at 207.42. The next target I would be looking at is 210.42, and then finally 217.77. I don't think we'll make it that far up, but should we make it, definitely anticipate a pullback. To the south side now. $172.73. Another level of support and potential buy-in area, 165.43. A gap forms here, closes out at 161.76, and -4 standard deviations is 157.82. Then another gap forms to the south side at 154.73, closes out at 145.43. I've talked about this gap for quite some time now. If you go back and look at all my videos, you can see when I started to talk about this gap that I mentioned will be haunting us. As a matter of fact, I can't move it to the left anymore. I'm going to have to go to the 15-minute time frame and look left. So all of these gaps have closed to the south side. And obviously it took a long time, but you have to be patient. If the stock goes up, it will come down. It may take a long time, but it will. All right, that gap started on May 4th of 23. And looking back, I have not cleaned up my chart, but I can see this gap closed to the upside. Done with that one. Remove that. And then this gap started at, well, it gapped up, so we will expect a gap down, and that started on the 26th of January 2023. So it took a year for us to go back down. And a viewer named Marat and I have been tracking the stock for a very long time now, it seems. Again, flip it over to the daily, weekly, and monthly time frames so you see where we've been and where we're likely to go. And for a swing trade, many opportunities to go up and to go down. And speaking of going down, though, there's another gap I am tracking that will take us down to roughly $80.88. I don't know if we will get down to this level, but there's something to be, it's something to be aware of, a possibility. We're not in that realm, not in that time frame, not in that channel. It's going to take a long time to get there. Your first target to be aware of is this one. All right, RSI is turning down, but let me just check the RSI on the monthly. We are still going down, so that's the monthly, the weekly, still going down, and the daily. All right. So looking left, let me just mark this out. So we're at 17, so we are oversold. The last time we were in this area was December of 22, and look, we went back up. And that's it. But I am not panicking. I'm in this trade. I'm in this stock for the long haul. And I've seen this happen before. And for me, when it cracks, it's an opportunity to buy, but you have to not be afraid and you have to have patience. Just looks like things are falling apart for Tesla, but it will turn around eventually. Right now, we're just in a dark hole. All right, that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching and have a great trading day.